Hi, Godless voice here. Scientists define the earliest forms of religion, earliest evidence of religion, as being intentional burials. Why is that? Well, looking at it from a technical standard, this is the first evidence of behavior that goes outside of survival. Survival being one of the most important things of a society, especially in primitive times. But why would it be the intentional burial? Why not something else? Well, this is the oldest evidence they can find of any practice that not only does not contribute to survival, but in many cases contradicts survival. The reason being is that a pattern emerges in these burials. One of two things occur. Either you find paraphernalia of something that had absolutely nothing to do with survival in the gravesite, like flowers, incense, decorations. They're preparing a body, what scientists argue, for an afterlife. The other contradiction to this is to leave tools, usable, useful tools. Sometimes these tools hadn't even been used yet. Some of these tools were actually prepared for the person upon their death. They are equipping and arming this person, even though this person is dead. It's curious. Those tools could be used to help the tribe survive, to allow them to keep going. But instead of doing this, they end up wasting these tools on the dead. Why would they give the tools to the dead? Scientists and anthropologists believe that this is indicative of preparing somebody for an afterlife. Our oldest evidence of this, our oldest undisputed evidence, because evidence exists as far back as 300,000 years ago. But this is disputable because they do not have the paraphernalia indicative of what you would call an intentional burial site. The first undisputable evidence, which is paraphernalia designed for the person that is dead, that comes up about 130,000 years ago, roughly about 20,000 years after scientists and anthropologists hypothesize that we first gained critical thinking. So, what this tells me is that even in our earliest days, we were concerned with death. Our first religious practices that you can find evidence of revolve around death. I believe that when we became thinking individuals, the first thing we thought of would naturally be the thing that we were most concerned with or afraid of. And that's what happens when you die. Do you stop being? Do you carry on? Is there more? Since then, religions have built around this. The ideal pinnacle of most religions, even Buddhism, is an afterlife. And this is something you're supposed to be striving for. This is identified as a reward to living a good life. So essentially, you are preparing yourself for death by your behaviors, by your faith, by your ethics, your intentions, your efforts. Notice I didn't say morality. Very few religions actually focus on morality. There are more lessons that can be found in them, but For the most part, most religions focus almost entirely on death. You are supposed to be doing activities and behaviors that are going to garner your approval for when you die. So essentially, many religious people are living for death. So historically speaking, we are driven, even now, by a fear of death. Even many of us atheists, we are afraid of death. I'm afraid of death. Perhaps not in the conventional sense that most people are, but for the most part, even if your primary influence is life, well, that is the opposite of death. So you're focused on what you have now. You're focused on what you do with what you have now, because there is the knowledge that eventually you will come to an end. And whatever you believe will happen after that, it varies from person to person. Whether it be that you go to heaven, Valhalla, that you are a part of some greater enlightenment, you rejoin the universe, or that you become worm food and simply cease to be as a consciousness. Everybody tends to draw towards either whether or not they're going somewhere after they die, or whether or not they make the best of what they have now. And it's all because of death. This has influenced a wide range of things, and I'll be addressing a few of those things in the next few videos. But for now, I'd like to give that to you for thought. Do you think that everything we do revolves around death, or by circumstance, life, which is then a defiance of death? What are your thoughts? Leave comments down below. If you like the video, share it. Subscribe, you'll get more. This is Godless Voice signing off.